Hello there, you rather attractive person you. This is Chris from TechSpert and I'm here with a fresh new OnePlus 7T Pro, and I'm going to do a full side-by-side with two of the other biggest and some might say best smartphones of 2019. Here in the middle you got the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, and here on the right the Huawei P30 Pro, still definitely one of my favourites from the year so far. Going to do a full side-by-side to see which one might be best specifically for you, and for more on the latest and greatest of all tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now first up, of course, these are all premium Android smartphones and they're all absolute beasts as well. The OnePlus 7T Pro is actually the biggest at 6.67 inches. It's an absolute titan. Definitely the biggest in terms of dimensions, and the heft is serious as well. I do feel a little bit uncomfortable using it one-handed, to be perfectly honest, in case I'm going to drop the thing. Then you've got the Huawei P30 Pro at 6.47 inches, and then the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus is actually the smallest of the trio at 6.4 inches, although in terms of dimensions it's more or less the same as the Huawei P30 Pro. There's very little in it. All three of these handsets are constructed from glass. You get Gorilla Glass 5 around back here on the OnePlus 7T Pro and the Galaxy S10 Plus. Bit of Gorilla Glass 6 around front, very important to protect that screen from any scratches and scuffs. Here on the P30 Pro, I don't believe it is Gorilla Glass. If it is, they haven't mentioned it specifically in the specs. That said, I found that all three of these devices are super durable. The Galaxy S10 Plus and the Huawei P30 Pro I've had for a good few months now. Got next to no scratches or scuffs on either of those shiny devices. Here on the OnePlus 7T Pro, I've also found it's been suitably durable for the past week or so that I've been using it. Again, no scratches or little marks or anything like that. Hopefully it will also see the test of time just like the OnePlus 7 Pro before it. As for which phone actually looks the best, well, the Huawei P30 Pro still gets my vote. I love this subtle gradient style design here on the breathing crystal version. Definitely wins the most pretentious name for the colour scheme as well. The amber sunrise is absolutely gorgeous as well, though. If you like a nice vibrant hue, that'll definitely do the job. You can of course grab the Galaxy S10 Plus in a couple of really nice shiny colours as well. The OnePlus 7T Pro, it basically just comes with this haze blue as far as I'm aware at launch, but it does have this lovely matte finish to it as well, which is really resistant to grease and grime and stuff like that, so it doesn't get all oily and smudgy as soon as you pick up the damn thing, so that's definitely a bonus. Also worth pointing out that the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus and the Huawei P30 Pro are fully IP68 water and dust resistant. That means they can be fully submerged in water, no problems for a small duration, and no issues at all. The OnePlus 7T Pro, it doesn't have an official IP rating, but it is still water resistant. It's definitely splash resistant. I've taken it out in torrential downpours, thanks to London. Big shout out to your unpredictable weather, and it's been absolutely fine, no problems at all. I haven't actually had the confidence to fully dunk it in water yet. I'll probably do that after my in-depth review and everything goes live, but yeah, so far no problems. You'll notice of course that none of these smartphones have a rear mounted fingerprint sensor, and that's because the scanners are actually built into the displays themselves. And to be honest, I'm a fan of the sensors on all three of these handsets. Absolutely no worries, just a quick tap and you're basically straight into your desktops. Here on the Galaxy S10 Plus, it's actually an ultrasonic sensor instead of a optical scanner, so it can actually take a 3D image of your print rather than the others which just take basic 2D images, but all the same, P30 Pro and the OnePlus 7T Pro, as you can see there, nice and swift, nice and accurate. Only really an issue if your hands get really dry or super greasy. All three of these smartphones also have built-in face recognition as well, and it's super nippy. There on the P30 Pro, as you can see, they're instant. Here on the S10 Plus, again, straight into your desktops. Here on the OnePlus 7T Pro, you do have to wait for the little selfie camera to pop up, but as you can see there, it's not really any kind of delay whatsoever. Nice and accurate on all three of them, as long as you're not wearing sunglasses or any funky crazy hats or wigs or anything, and they work surprisingly well in low light as well, helps along by a bit of that screen boost action. Now onto the screen tech, and frankly all three of these are an absolute winner. I absolutely adore the gorgeous visuals pumped out by them. That said, the OnePlus 7T Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus win in terms of the overall resolution. Here they are displaying a Quad HD Plus resolution. The Huawei P30 Pro tops off at Full HD Plus. But as you can see there, it is nice punchy OLED tech on all three of them. You get nice sharp contrast, nice deep blacks, and reasonably punchy hues as well. Of course, all three displays are fully customizable in the settings, so you can get a more realistic set of hues if that's what you prefer. As you probably tell there on the default settings, the OnePlus 7T Pro does have slightly warmer hues, so those skin tones do look a little bit richer, but of course again that is fully customizable in the settings. And of course full HDR support and everything as you'd expect as well. You do get that lovely full view experience right here on the OnePlus 7T Pro as well, which you don't quite get sadly from the Galaxy S10 Plus and the P30 Pro. That's most noticeable, of course, if you're going to be using something like YouTube. As you can see there, you can just pinch out in order to fill the entire screen. And there on the S10 Plus, you've got the little pinhole camera action there in the corner. You've got this dinky little nipple notch on the P30 Pro. But to be honest, certainly on the P30 Pro, it's a tiny little intrusion, not too noticeable. And at least it's shunted away in the corner here on the S10 Plus. So again, nothing too offensive. As for audio, well, my favourites are definitely the OnePlus 7T Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. You get a lovely rich stereo speaker output. I've boosted them all to maximum. Let's just try them out.
Prepare to leave the house.
That's the OnePlus. Now the Galaxy S10 Plus.
Prepare to leave the house.
And then finally, the Huawei P30 Pro sadly doesn't have a stereo speaker output. It's just a mono speaker housed on the bottom because it's actually just got a vibration speaker built into the display as the earpiece, so you don't actually get a media speaker there at all.
Prepare to leave the house.
Well, as you can hear there, still fairly crisp audio and a reasonable, powerful, punchy top volume as well, but you just don't get that stereo output like you do on the others. And overall, the winner on the audio front is definitely the Galaxy S10 Plus because it's actually got a headphone jack, unlike the other two. You'll have to use dongles or stick to Bluetooth on them. Now let's shift onto the software, and you actually get a different experience on all three of these smartphones, even though they all pack a nice bit of Google's Android mobile OS. It's actually Android 10 fresh out of the box here on the 7T Pro, one of the very first smartphones to support it. The S10 Plus and the P30 Pro will be getting an update to Android 10 though, around sort of the November to December time, hopefully by the end of the year. And of course, the manufacturers have slapped on their very own overlays as well. Here on the 7T Pro, it is Oxygen OS version 10.0. The Galaxy S10 Plus, you got Samsung's own One UI, fresh and new for 2019. And then the P30 Pro, of course, you've got Emotion UI. You get full dedicated support for the Google Assistant in all three of these handsets, and you get the added bonus of Bixby here on the Galaxy S10 Plus. Some of the Bixby stuff is actually pretty decent, to be perfectly fair, including the Bixby routines, which just allows you to set up a bunch of if this, then that routines. Kind of tricky to say. And Samsung likes to throw in quite a few of its own bonus apps, including a lot of smart home support, things like that. Of course, you've got full Google Home support here on the likes of the P30 Pro and the OnePlus 7T Pro. The OnePlus 7T Pro is probably the best in terms of only including mostly the stock Google apps. You do get a couple of other bonus bits, including a dedicated gaming mode here on the OnePlus 7T Pro, but that's pretty much it. Of course, on Huawei, with the Emotion UI, you get a whole bunch of extra bonus bits thrust onto the P30 Pro, including a gallery app. You get, of course, the optimizer, which basically just helps to manage your resources. The still utterly pointless mirror app, which basically just shows you on the selfie camera, as if you couldn't just load up the camera and do exactly the same thing, and so on and so on. The good news is they're all fully customizable. Of course, you can throw on your own launcher if you prefer, and yeah, get your own icon packs and everything on there, so you can change up the look and feel. So they're all very, very good in their own right. I do like the fact that the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus and the P30 Pro do have their own dedicated one-handed modes though. As you can see, this just helps to minimize everything, just makes it so much easier to use when you're trying to control a manic 3-year-old and do stuff on your phone at the same time. Now, so here on the OnePlus, either you don't get that, all you can do is drag down the notifications bar from basically swiping anywhere on the screen, which isn't quite as good. Now, let's shift on to performance now, and all three of these premium devices, as you would imagine, absolutely blow it out of the water. As you can see here on the Geekbench, there are some discrepancies between the single and the multi-core scores, but the Snapdragon 855 Plus chipset packed into the OnePlus 7T Pro, absolutely fantastic. As you can see, amazing multi-core score there. Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus uses Samsung's own Exynos 9820, and then here on the Huawei P30 Pro you get slightly older Kirin 980 chipset. It's over a year old now, but still does the job absolutely fine. And all three of these handsets are backed by 8 gigs of RAM, which really helps to keep things running smoothly, especially when you're multitasking. As for the battery tech, well, the specs are really close between these three. It's actually in the ascending order as well. It's 4085 milliamp here on the OnePlus 7T Pro, 4100 on the S10 Plus, and 4200 here on the Huawei P30 Pro. I have found that the P30 Pro is best for everyday battery life. I found I easily get a full day out of it, even with lots and lots of intensive use, and it often stretches to a full day and a half to 2 days if you're really conservative with the use. Here on the S10 Plus, I generally make it through a full day as well, even if I am hammering it, and the OnePlus 7T Pro the same as well. You have to really hammer it to them if you want to kill them before bedtime. Now when it comes time to plug them in, definitely the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus is the pauper of the bunch with its 15-watt wired charging. You get 40 watt supercharge here on the P30 Pro, and on the OnePlus 7T Pro it's the new Warp Charge 30T. So both of those will fill up pretty much to full in an hour at the plug. That said, only the Galaxy S10 Plus and the Huawei P30 Pro actually offer wireless charging support. You don't get that on the 7T Pro. And you also get the wireless power share, or the wireless reverse charging, as it's called here on the P30 Pro, to actually share your charge with another device as well. Really helpful if your smartwatch, your earbuds, things like that support wireless charging. And of course, it may not be particularly sexy or exciting, but storage, of course, very important for your smartphone. You got 256 gigs as standard here on the P30 Pro and the OnePlus 7T Pro. The S10 Plus can be picked up in either 128 or 512 gigs. You can even get it in a full terabyte if you upgrade to the ceramic model. And if you want to expand that storage, well, if you're a OnePlus owner, then tough luck. Here on the Galaxy S10 Plus, you can shove in micro SD memory cards of up to 512 gigs in size, and on the Huawei P30 Pro, you'll have to use Huawei's own proprietary memory cards, so you're out of luck if you've got a micro SD. And of course, probably won't surprise anyone at all that these three premium smartphones all come packing a triple lens setup. Very popular, very fashionable in 2019. Of course, technically the P30 Pro is a quad lens setup because there's a time of flight lens as well, but stop being so pedantic. So I'm going to have a quick run through the camera specs, just skip ahead a minute or so if you're not really bothered about any of this, but basically you get a 48 megapixel primary lens here on the OnePlus 7T Pro, an f1.6 aperture with optical image stabilization built in. It's a 12 megapixel primary lens here on the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, f1.5 to f2.4 because it does have that dual aperture which you can switch between either manually or automatically, and again a bit of optical image stabilization thrown in there. And then in terms of the Huawei P30 Pro, it's a 40 megapixel super spectrum lens, f1.6, and again optical image stabilization. Now if you think that the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus's 12 megapixel primary camera sounds kind of weedy compared with the others, bear in mind that the OnePlus 7T Pro shoots at 12 megapixels by default. If you want to shoot at that full 48 megapixel, you actually have to dive into the Pro mode and do it that way, though at least you can shoot raw images and everything in that format as well. And here on the Huawei P30 Pro, it actually shoots at 10 megapixel resolution. By default, you'll have to dive into the settings and go to the resolution and change that if you want to go all the way up to that 40 meg level. Now, of course, you've got that triple lens setup, which offers great flexibility on all three devices. All you need to do is just a quick tap of these icons in order to get into the ultra wide angle snapper. 16 megapixel on these two. It's actually a 20 megapixel here on the P30 Pro, but as you can see, that offers a very different spread out viewpoint. Really good for those dramatic shots and for capturing massive skyscrapers, monuments, things like that. And of course, you also get a telephoto lens as well, which again, just a quick tap away. It's actually much stronger here on the P30 Pro compared with the others, so it's a 5 times optical zoom, which as you can see gets really, really in close there. And if you tap all the way up to the maximum level, there's a 10 times hybrid zoom, which as you can see, I can't even focus because we're so close to the subject. In the case of the Galaxy S10 Plus, it's a mere 2 times optical zoom, and it's a 3 times optical zoom here on the OnePlus 7T Pro. For everyday shooting, the P30 Pro is still my absolute favourite. It's still got the very best portrait mode out of the three, though that said, the Galaxy S10 Plus performs well in that area as well. They've all got their own dedicated night mode as well, which again, here on the P30 Pro, has to be said, is absolutely sublime. Captures really nice balanced photos. I'm really impressed with the Nightscape 2.0 here on the OnePlus as well. Actually, that also captures really nice balanced photos, helps to prevent oversaturation in those sort of brighter elements while really bringing the darker elements to life. Here on the S10 Plus, it's also got a night mode. It's okay. It does overblow those lighter elements, unfortunately. Night skies look kind of hazy and really unnatural. Not a massive fan, but it sort of works-ish. Of course, you've got a full dedicated Pro mode on all three of these handsets as well, so you can have a good play around with all the ISO levels, the white balance, all the rest of that, which is great to see. And of course, you can shoot a nice bit of RAW format when needed. On the video front, the roles are actually slightly reversed here. I actually prefer the Galaxy S10 Plus to the Huawei P30 Pro. The image stabilization is a little bit stronger. You get the likes of the super stable mode, which has now made a jump to the OnePlus 7T Pro as well. Quite handy if you're running, cycling, something like that, and shooting at the same time. Definitely superior here on the Galaxy S10 Plus though. But if you just want to capture a simple home movie, all three will do the job. They'll shoot you at up to 4K resolution footage. You actually get 4K at 60 frames per second on these two here as well, if you want that nice hyper realistic, super smooth finish. And then if we swap around to those front-facing cameras, there's the 16 megapixel here on the OnePlus 7T Pro, of course a pop-up effort, which is very snazzy indeed. You get a dual front lens camera here on the Galaxy S10 Plus, 10 megapixel and 8 megapixel. That 8 megapixel is basically a depth sensor to help capture accurate portrait shots. And then here on the Huawei P30 Pro, it's a mighty 32 megapixel front face if you want to capture every little wrinkle and sag. And on all three, of course, can capture a bit of portrait mode action. It's actually a bit of live focus here on the Galaxy S10 Plus. It adds all kinds of funky little features and effects. And you get a small range of sort of custom features here on the P30 Pro as well. But the S10 Plus I've found is best for those funky portrait mode snaps. And so that right there is how the fresh new OnePlus 7T Pro stacks up against Samsung's Galaxy S10 Plus and the Huawei P30 Pro. Which one is your favourite? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down below, because they've all got their individual strengths and weaknesses. Personally, I find it quite tough to choose between them. I'd say it'd probably be the OnePlus or the P30 Pro at a stretch. P30, I absolutely love that camera, so I think that might just top it for me. But yeah, it'd be great to hear what you think down below, and please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. Cheers everyone, love you!